everyone. I'm going to be taking you through a beginner reformer class today. You don't need any equipment besides your reformer, and we're going to start on 3 red springs. For me, I'm on a balanced body machine, so that's 3 heavy springs. So let's go ahead and lay down. I've got my foot bar down. When you lay down, I want you to come a little bit away from your shoulder blocks so you have some room, and then your feet are just going to be resting on the gray surface or the surface where the foot bar is. Arms resting to your sides. I want you to take your hands right to your rib cage and have your fingers kind of pointing in towards each other. We're going to start with some breathing exercises. So with a nice big inhale, I want you to expand your rib cage laterally, which means side to side, like you're trying to open your hands away from each other and expand your ribs from one side of the room to the other. And as you exhale, I want you to draw your fingertips towards each other at the sternum and really try to wrap and knit your rib cage. So my fingers are moving away from each other as I take a big inhale. And then my fingers are coming towards each other, maybe even touching as you take a big exhale. Inhaling as you breathe to the sides. And exhale as you pull in. Big deep inhales, feeling those ribs expand as your lungs expand. And big exhales as you feel the rib cage draw down and together. We'll do that 2 more times. Big inhale, so you're breathing laterally to the side. You're even breathing posteriorly, which means to the back. So you might even feel your back kind of push into the carriage a little bit more. And then we'll exhale. And the whole reason this is the breath we use in Pilates is so that we can breathe through the rib cage and you can keep your core engaged. So we'll do that 1 more time. Big inhale out and big exhale back in. Good. We'll keep that breath going and take your hands down to your pelvis. So I want your fingers to be right on your pubic bone, and I want your heels of the hands to be on your hip bones. So find the hip bones and put your heels there. Find your pubic bone and put your fingers there. And then let your thumbs come together. So you're forming a little triangle. And if you take a look at the triangle, it should be on the same plane, meaning your thumbs shouldn't be really high and your fingers low, and your fingers shouldn't be really high and your thumbs low. So that's called a neutral pelvis, when our fingers and our thumbs are on the same plane. So take an inhale there, and then I want you to let your fingers come up and your thumbs go down. So that's called an imprint. So you're letting your low back push into the mat, and you're scooping your abs in. Take a look and notice the fingers are really high and the thumbs are really low. And then you go back into your neutral pelvis. We'll do that again. So you take a big inhale. As you exhale, you're going to rock into your imprint. And then you'll inhale and come back to neutral. And I want you to do that a few more times while I talk you through this. So imprint, when would you use that position? That's a great position to use if you're a beginner. If you are having a hard time with exercises and things might be hard to hold, imprint is going to give you a little bit more assistance. So when we go into mid-back, I might say come to imprint if this feels too challenging. That's what imprint is, where your hip bones are lower than your pubic bone, and then go back to neutral. So you're just rocking from imprint to neutral. Neutral is where you want to achieve, to eventually get to. So neutral is where you're working your abdominals in a great position where they're going to fire in a good place, and they're working most effectively. But it doesn't mean you have to be there at the very beginning. So you might feel more comfortable in imprint than in neutral. The goal is eventually, as you get stronger, to come to neutral. Good. So I want you to end in neutral, and we're going to remember that position. Reach the arms to the sides, and we're going to lift the right leg to tabletop. Lift the left leg to tabletop. So we're holding tabletop. You can take the hands back and make sure you're still in neutral. And then we're going to try to maintain neutral and dip the right toe down towards the mat and back up, or down to the foot bar and back up. Dip the left toe down to the foot bar and back up. Now I've been taking and teaching Pilates for over 20 years, and I still do these exercises because these are kind of the fundamentals of Pilates. And if we're doing everything correctly with great form, we're going to get more out of the workout. So take your time to kind of make sure that you feel comfortable with this. And this is something you could even do every day as just a reminder for neutral pelvis and the abdominals staying engaged. Good. We'll do one more on the right and one more on the left. Nice job. And then pull the knees into the chest and give yourself a little hug. All right, let's roll all the way up, and we'll put our foot bars up for our leg work. So your foot bar is going to be up. We're going to roll all the way back down. And let's start today. We're going to do our traditional footwork today. So let's start with the balls of the feet on, about sits bones distance apart. You're going to zip your heels together, let your knees go wide. Now remember that neutral pelvis, so you can even use those hands as a guide today. And then you can also rest the hands to the sides today, whichever one you want to do. We're going to inhale as you push the carriage out, squeezing the legs together, and exhale as you resist back in. Big inhale to press, exhale to resist. So think about the breathing that we did in the beginning, that lateral breath. So you're expanding the ribs out to either side of the room, and then you're drawing the ribs back in together. Inhaling as you press and exhaling as you resist. And 3 and 2 and 1. Good. Let's come all the way home. Slide your feet together so your balls of the feet are on the bar. Your heels are slightly lifted. Again, you can check, make sure you're in that neutral position. And we'll take an inhale, push the carriage out, and pull it right back in. Inhale out, and exhale in. I'm thinking of keeping my legs nice and glued together, so ankles, knees, and inner thighs squeezing. Now, if that doesn't feel good on your feet, some of us have feet that might not feel good to be together. You can certainly have your feet a little bit apart. That's totally fine. We'll go 3 more, pressing all the way out and in. And then I want you to hold the next one out. So keep your legs nice and long. You're going to lower your heels under the bar for a stretch, and then lift the heels right back up. Lowering the heels under the bar and lifting them back up. Big exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Good. Remember, you're inhaling through the nose and you're exhaling through the mouth. We'll do that one more time, down and up, and then you'll pull the carriage all the way home. Good. Take your heels and slide them on, and we're going to have the heels glued together, knees glued together, inner thighs linked together. Inhale as you push the carriage out, squeezing the legs nice and straight, and then resist it back in. So changing the foot position really changes the engagement in the legs, and when you're first starting out, you might not feel very much of a difference, but that's okay. So as you get more comfortable with the work, you'll feel more of the subtleties. So right now, I just want you to focus on linking your breath, linking your movement. I think Pilates in the beginning is a little bit like drinking from a fire hose. You can only take in so much at once. So take in little pieces here and there, and you can absorb it at your own pace and your own time. Last 3 and 2 and 1. Good. Come all the way in. We're going to take those feet wide, so now your heels are going to be on. You're flexing your feet. Your knees and your ankles are both reaching to the same direction, so they're turned out of the same intensity. We're going to inhale, push the carriage out, and then exhale back in. Big inhale to push, exhale, resist. Take your hands right back to the pubic bone and hip bones and make sure they're level. It's very easy, especially in this position, to go into that imprint, and which is fine. It's not like it's wrong. It's not going to hurt you, but it's just not as an effective of a position to be working in. So you want to just be conscious of how you're working. and try to strive for that neutral as best you can. And over time, that'll get easier. As your abdominals get stronger and you get more comfortable with the moves, it'll be easier to maintain that neutral. Do one more and then come all the way in. Good, pull those knees into the chest, give yourself a little hug. Let's roll up and change the weight. Now I'm gonna take it down to 2 red springs and 1 yellow. That is 2 heavy and 1 light. And then go ahead and lay all the way back down. Now once you're back down, you want the right foot to be on the ball of the foot, your left leg to be in tabletop, knee in line with your hip, shin parallel to the floor. We're gonna inhale as you push all the way out and exhale right back in. Big inhales to push, exhales back in. Good. Make sure that you're going all the way out with this right leg, getting a full extension. So it's not necessarily like you're popping and locking because you're not moving very quickly, but you are going all the way out and all the way back in. Good. We're going to do that one more time, and then we're going to hold it out. So take it out one more time and hold it. We're going to lower the right heel and just let that heel relax into a stretch. Take your left hand to your left knee and pull it in towards you. We're going to do knee circles, which is kind of like a leg circle, but we're going to start with the knee bent. So you're going to circle the leg out to the side, down, over to the right, and back up. So you're making a big circle with that knee, with a bent leg. And we're going to progress this into a straight leg if you feel comfortable with this exercise. So basically what we're doing is stirring that leg bone in the hip socket, and you're making sure that you're not moving or rocking at all through the hips. You want to stay nice and still through the hips. And you're just stirring that leg in one direction. When you get back up to the top, which is kind of like a 12 o'clock, you're going to pause, and we're going to go the other way. So you're going to circle towards the right, down, out to the left, and up. So it's just this little knee circle. Which I like this variation, especially for beginners, because a lot of times when the leg is straight, it's too much work in the hamstring. And then there's a lot of strain that happens. So we're just going to keep it bent for today. And maybe in one of the next videos, we'll do it straight. Last 2. And last 1. Good. Set the foot down, bring the carriage home. Your left foot's going to be on the bar, right leg to tabletop. Make sure you're neutral. Again, check out that pelvis, fingers and thumbs in the same plane, and we'll push all the way out and back in. Now that leg stir that we just did, those are one of those fundamental exercises that for me, I feel that as I've been practicing Pilates a long time, those exercises get harder versus easier. So once you figure out what your goal is and you learn how to control the muscles, you can get a lot more out of it. So I'm saying that because at the beginning, most people are like, what's this? This doesn't feel like it's doing anything. But once you are really able to stabilize your pelvis and move your leg independent of your pelvis, you'll be feeling a lot more in that exercise. Good, we're gonna do 3 more. And 2, and then hold your next one out. Let's lower the left heel for a little stretch. Now we're going to maintain this stability so our pelvis isn't going to move, and you're going to bring that right knee over to the right, down to the left, and back up. So you're stirring that leg and your hands just helping to guide it. So that leg bone, so think of your big femur bone, is circling in the hip socket. Good, inhaling down and exhaling up and around. Good, so you're using your abs to keep everything still as this leg moves. When you get back up to your 12 o'clock starting position, let's reverse. So go towards the left, down and around. To the left, down and around. And if you start making it too big, you'll feel your weight shifting from one hip to the other. And that's a good sign that you need to make it smaller. 3 and 2 and 1. Good job. Set that foot down and bring the carriage all the way home. Pull your knees into your chest and give yourself a little hug. Okay, let's come up and change our weight again. We're going to go into our mid-back series, so we need a little lighter weight for the arms. I'm going to choose 1 red and 1 blue. That's 1 heavy, 1 medium. And then we're going to lay down. A little bit of note on the weight. The weight I use, you can always adjust the weight based on your strength, based on your body weight as well. So if you are very light, you probably need a little bit less weight. If you're a little heavier, you probably need a little bit more weight. So you can kind of vary that based on your body and your strength level. So let's reach back and grab the straps. We're going to bring them into the hands and reach the arms up to the ceiling. So remember, we're going to push the leg, or bring the legs, up to tabletop. So the right leg's going to lift to tabletop, and then the left leg's going to lift to tabletop, and we're going to be in a neutral spine. So just take a second and find your imprint so you see the difference. So I'm going to roll my hip bones down and my pubis bone up. So that's my imprint. And then I'm going to drop my tailbone and find my neutral. So do that a few more times. So you're going to imprint, and then you're going back to neutral. Imprint is not a bad position. It's actually a very good position for beginners, like I said, but eventually we want to try to be in a neutral position. So if you're feeling more comfortable in imprint, you can stay there. If you're feeling okay in neutral, you can stay there. So we're going to find what position feels good for you, and then we're going to exhale, pull the arms down to the sides, and inhale the arms right back up. Now, if you are just starting and this is maybe your first time doing the mid-back series, this is a lot of work for the legs to just hold. And if you're having a hard time doing that, you could cross your ankles. That's going to make it a little bit easier. Again, you can try to find that imprint, and that's going to make it a little bit easier too. The other option, since we're on tape, is you can just stop and pause between every exercise. So if you feel that you need to take a little rest, please do so. You've got 2 more big exhales. You pull the arms down to the sides and inhale back up. Big exhale, pull the arms down to the sides and inhale back up. Now take your arms, bring them back down to your hips. We're going to go into our triceps. So I want you to bend your elbows, fingers to the ceiling, straighten your arms, fingers towards the foot bar. So you're taking a big inhale to bend and a big exhale to press. Now your elbows need to stay close to the carriage. And when you're first starting, it may be better just to have your elbows pushing down in the carriage so you can kind of see where you are in space. A lot of times elbows are way high and you're not going to get as much out of it. So physically have those elbows pushing into the carriage so you can keep the upper arm still. Do that one more time and then keep the arms straight. So we're going to hold the arms straight to the hips. Now turn your palms to face your hips. We're going to open the arms out to the T, pause right when the fingers are in line with the shoulders, and then exhale, pull the arms right back out to the sides. So you're going to open the arms out to a T, exhale, pull the hands right down to your hips. Big inhale to go out, and then a big exhale to pull back in. Are you still breathing through your rib cage? Breathing out to the sides, and then pulling the rib cage closed. 3, and 2, and 1. Good. Let's take the arms to the ceiling, set the feet down, and just let the legs go side to side. This is a nice way to release your back. So if things get too challenging and you need to take a break, this is one thing that you can do as your break, is just giving your back a little stretch side to side. So do that as much as you need to until you're able to build up to do the whole mid-back series at the same time or all at once with no break. Okay, let's go back into our mid-back series. We'll do one more little variation of circles. So the arms are to the ceiling. Find your neutral, so you're really kind of pushing your tailbone down Pubic bone and hip bones on the same plane. Lift your right leg to tabletop, lift your left leg to tabletop, and squeeze your knees. We're going to pull the arms all the way down to the sides, bring them out to the T and pause. Now bring the arms straight up to the ceiling, but don't move the carriage. Good, we'll do that again. So you move the carriage as the arms push to the hips. You move the carriage as the arms go to a T. The carriage stays nice and still as the arms come up. Nice job. Again, exhale the arms down. Inhale them out and all the way up. Exhale, pull down. Inhale out and back up. Two more. Again, find your imprint if you're feeling any discomfort in your back, or cross your ankles if you need to. Now when you're up to the ceiling, pause. We're going to reverse the direction of the circle. So you're going to open out to a T, pull the arms to the hips, bring them right back to the ceiling. Open to a T, pull back to the hips, and all the way to the ceiling. Good. Out to the T, don't move. You move the carriage as you come to the hips, move the carriage as you go to the ceiling. Three. Really good job, everyone. Last two. One more. And then the arms are going to come up. You're going to set the feet down and do that little side-to-side rock, relieving your back. All right. Let's move on from here. So you can go ahead and let your straps go back down, put them back on the pegs, and then we'll pull our knees into the chest and roll yourself up and off the machine. So for this one, we're going to go to one blue. So that's one medium spring, and we're going to sit facing the tower. If you have the tower, if not, you're facing the shoulder blocks. And then I've got just about a hand's distance between my bottom and the springs. That's because we're going to be rolling back and we don't want to roll off. We want to have some room. Now my legs do not fit with them one beside each other, so I've got to cross them. If you don't need to cross them, keep them one beside each other. Now reach forward and grab the tape. So you're going to be holding way up on those straps. Take a big inhale. I want you to sit up as tall as you can. You're in that neutral pelvis. So even from this position, you've got the hip bones and the pubic bone in the same line. We're going to do that same kind of imprint position now seated. So you're going to tuck your tailbone. You're going to start to roll yourself back, rolling back one vertebrae at a time. Now those straps are holding you, and then you're going to roll yourself up one vertebrae at a time and sit up nice and tall. We'll do that again. You're going to pull the abdominals in, start to tuck your tailbone, rolling yourself back. Now the rolling is starting from the low back. Your shoulders are staying broad. You don't want to be rounding through the chest. And then you're going to roll it all the way up. Sit really tall like a string's pulling you up to the ceiling. And again, you're going to start from the tailbone, one vertebrae at a time. You're going to slowly roll yourself back. Take an inhale at the bottom. And then one vertebrae at a time, you're going to slowly roll yourself back up. Now let's go one more time. Rolling yourself back. Taking an inhale. And then rolling yourself all the way up. Sit up tall. Now we're going to keep our spine nice and long. Turn your palms more to the floor, and you're going to pull the elbows out to a T. Find a little stopping point, and then slowly let the springs come back. So you're opening the spring as you pull, and then the spring's trying to go back quick, so you're going to try to slow that down and go back slow. So you're pulling the elbows out to the sides, and then you're resisting the springs from pulling you too quick. Good. That's actually where you get majority of the strength, is when you're coming out of the exercise and you're resisting. So think, the springs are pulling you as much as they can and you're resisting that. Nice. Let's do two more times. And one more. Good. Now since my legs are crossed, I'm going to switch the cross. We're going to go back to rolling round two. Take a nice inhale. You're going to exhale, scoop the abdominals in and roll yourself back. Take an inhale at the bottom and exhale, scoop the abs in, roll yourself up and sit up tall. So this is all about moving the spine. As Pilates said, you're just as young and healthy as your spine. So with with Pilates, we're working a lot on spinal mobility, which is moving your spine. And we're also working a lot on spinal stability, which is moving other parts of the body while you keep your spine long and straight and neutral. Not really straight, neutral. We all have normal curves in our back. Do 2 more of those, rolling back slow and steady, taking an inhale at the back and then rolling it back up. And that's your last one, rolling back and rolling back up. Now this time, instead of both arms moving, we're going to just one arm. So I want you to row the right arm, look towards the right and add a little rotation. Good. And then bring it back and do the other side. So we're going to pull with just the left arm, look to the left, add a little rotation, and then slowly bring it back. Still moving with that slow, controlled motion, resisting the springs back. Big exhale, pull left, slowly resist. So this is one of those where we're keeping the spine from not moving. So notice now you're staying neutral in your pelvis. You're not moving, you're not rocking, and we're rotating from the upper back, the torso. Nice job. Do 1 more to each side. And last one. Good job. Okay, let's put the left strap away, and then I want you to turn towards your right and sit in a mermaid. So a mermaid is the left shin is up against the shoulder blocks, and the right leg is in front of you. Now for some of you, this may not feel comfortable. Another option would be to sit crisscross applesauce. So that would be another option if this does not feel good. So we're going to glue this left elbow right into your rib cage. Sit really tall. Again, that string's pulling you up to the ceiling. And then this left hand's just going to rotate in and then rotate back out like a door. And it's just hinging closed and hinging open. Now as it hinges, your elbow is going to stay pretty close into your rib cage. You don't want it jammed into your rib cage, but you don't want to let the elbow fling out in space. So we're just holding that constant, maybe 1 inch or so space between the elbow and the waistline. Good. Big exhale as you press. Inhale, release. Let's do that 2 more times. And last one. Good. Now take that hand and turn that down. So now the elbow is going to go out to the side and your palms up. It's called a little bit like rocking a baby. So we're going to rock the arm across the body and then the elbow goes out. So we lower the elbow and lift. So it's kind of like this rocking position or this arching position with the arm. So we open it out and bring it across. Open it out and bring it across. Good. Still sitting nice and tall, still focusing on that breath through the lateral rib cage. So breathing open and close. Awesome. Last 2. And last 1. Good. We're going to take it up a little bit and bring that arm up to shoulder height. Take your right arm up so that you're mirroring your left. So the strap is in the left hand. It's like we're holding this big beach ball. Take an inhale and then you're going to pull the beach ball together. So your fingers come together. You're giving that beach ball a squeeze and then you're going to open it back up. So big squeeze to bring the fingers together and then release and bring it back. Good. Big squeeze to bring it together and release and open. Good. Before you even start the movement, start your breath. So I like to think about exhaling maybe a second or a millisecond before I start moving, because the exhale is going to automatically engage the abdominals. So that way your abdominals are nice and active before you start the movement. Just 2 more. And last one here. Good job. All right, let's give that left arm a break and put the strap in the right hand. So now I've got my right hand right in front of my body and I'm going to keep my elbow pretty much close to my right rib cage and I'm going to externally rotate. So we're doing that door hinge with the other arm. So I'm opening the door and I'm closing the door. Now make sure that elbow is staying pretty close to the rib cage. Wherever the elbow is, it's not moving away, it's not moving closer. You're trying to keep it at the same position as you rotate this arm. Open and closed. Good. Last 3. And last 2. And last 1. Good. Those are definitely a very effective exercises. Can feel the great work in the shoulders. Hopefully you felt that too. I'm going to slide a little bit closer to my foot bar and come to a red spring. So I have a heavy spring on, and that's it. One heavy spring. Right hand's going to go to the foot bar. Left arm goes out to the tower. Take an inhale to sit really tall, and then exhale as you push the carriage out and lean over towards the foot bar, stretching that entire left side. Come all the way back in and bend the right arm. Let's go again. So you press the right arm out, and then you lean over into your stretch. You come all the way back in and you bend the right arm. Good. So we're going to push the right arm out, lean into the stretch, come out of the stretch, and bend the right arm in. Nice. And if this is too much work, this is a lot of tricep work, you can go lower. So anytime you're struggling with an exercise, just change the weight a little bit lower. So we want to make sure that we're not working too heavy, that we start compromising our form. Good. We're going to do one more of those. And then we'll come all the way up. Good. Take the left hand to the foot bar. Your right hand's going to be on the foot bar, and then we're going to push all the way out, and it's straightening the arms here. This time we're going to bend your arms and pull the carriage in, and then push your arms straight and press the carriage out. So we're bending, big exhale to press. This is also a nice stretch, I feel, through the left side, even though we're working on strengthening the shoulders, getting a good stretch in your chest, and stretching through the whole left side as you rotate your body in this way. Hopefully it feels good. 2 more to go. And last one here. Good. We're going to come all the way home and bring the carriage in. Nice job. Okay, before we do those on the other side, let's do a little abdominal exercise. So I want you to put the foot bar down. We're going to stay on that red spring for now. That's going to give the carriage some stability underneath us. I want you to come to your hands and knees. So I want the hands on the foot bar, knees on the carriage, kind of at the very edge. So we're in this neutral pelvis. So now we're going to work on that neutral pelvis and imprint from a tabletop position. So you're going to take a nice inhale to prepare. You're as neutral as you can be. Your pubic bone and hip bones should be on the same plane. And then as you exhale, we're going to tuck the tailbone and do what would be an imprint if we were laying on our back. So you're going into a big angry cat is another way to phrase it that might help. And then you're going to go back into neutral. So everything will be aligned, pubic bone and hip bones. And then you're going to pull back into angry cat. And then back to neutral, and then back into that imprint position. Really, there's nothing to imprint against, but it's the same motion. So if you were laying down, you'd be doing the same motion that we did in the very beginning. Good. Just trying to teach you in all the different positions so that your body can get used to that movement. Good. Last 3. And 2. And do that one more time. And then we'll come back to neutral and stay there. So remember, you're neutral through your spine. From the crown of the head to the tailbone, it's a straight line. Take your right leg and reach it out as an extension and lift it up. So you don't want to be lifting so high and rotating the hip open. You want to keep the hip bones, so those hip bones are going to be pointing straight down towards the carriage. If you need it more advanced, the left arm's going to reach in line with the ear, and you're going to create a straight line from your left fingertips to your right toes. Make sure you're nice and neutral. We're just going to hold it and breathe. Working on stability and strength through the whole core. 3, 2, and 1. The hand can come down, the knee can come down, find your tabletop. Let's take a few more of that cat, angry cat. So we're going to round the back, big exhale, and then go back into your neutral. 2 more times. Big exhale as you round, and then back to neutral. 1 more time here, big exhale to round, and back to neutral. Let's take the left leg and reach it back behind you, squaring your hips so your hip bones are both facing the floor. And then if you want more challenge, the right arm's going to reach up in line with the ear, and you're going to create as much energy as you can from the right fingers to the left toes. We're going to hold that. Stay nice and still. So if you had your Pilates box is from shoulder, shoulder, hip, hip, that whole box is square to the floor. For 3, 2, and 1. The hand comes down, the knee comes down. You can separate your knees wide and come into a little resting position. So you're just going to push your hips back to your heels and rest. Okay, we've got 1 more side to go with our mermaid. So go back to your blue spring. So I'm on my 1 blue spring, and let's turn to the right. So you're going to have your right shin against the shoulder block. Unless that does not feel comfortable, you can sit crisscross. So pick up the strap with your right hand. From here you can see my right elbow is very close to my right rib cage. I'm going to keep that right elbow right where it is. And then I'm going to internally rotate my palm towards my belly and then my fingers away from me. So I'm hinging the door open and closed. This whole series of exercises really works your rotator cuff muscles, which most times, if you're doing any kind of active sport like golf, tennis, anything where you're rotating and using the shoulder a lot, that tends to be a muscle that you need to be working on strengthening so that we don't get injured. So these are sometimes neglected muscles, but extremely important muscles. And they're not very big muscles, so they don't respond to a lot of weight. So it's a very light weight, a lot of repetitions. So big exhales you pull. But these exercises will save you and help you stay active without getting injured for all of the other things you might be doing in life. Good, do that 1 more time. Now the next time we're going to turn the palm up to the ceiling, let the elbow go out towards the shoulder blocks for that little rocking position. So think rocking the fingers towards the left, rocking the elbow towards the right. So it's kind of like a Viking ship motion, a curl, or think of rocking a baby. Good, sit nice and tall, shoulders down your back, chest lifted. Three, and 2. And it's not a huge motion. You're trying to stay as stable as you can as you just move this one joint. Good, last one. Now bring the arm in front of you at shoulder height. So the elbow's at shoulder height. The opposite arm's going to come out to shoulder height. You're holding this big beach ball. We're going to give that beach ball a squeeze. Bring the fingers together and then release the beach ball open. Big exhale. Start that exhale just 1 kind of millisecond before you start your movement. Big inhale. Exhale. Squeeze the hands together. Remember to breathe through your rib cage and keep the core engaged. 2 more to go. And last one. Awesome job. Let's take the strap and put it in the left hand. This will be our last one. So your palm is facing your belly button. Your left elbow is pretty close to your left rib cage. We're going to hinge the door open on the left and then bring it back. Palm faces the belly. So we're going to hinge open and closed. And then remember, if this is too much weight, so this is, I feel, one of the most challenging of the exercises we've done, you can lower the weight. So if you've got a yellow, you may want to go to a yellow if this is too hard. You definitely don't want to be straining here. You want to be able to successfully do the exercise without having to recruit any other muscles. So if you're really having to muscle through it, take the weight down. Keep that elbow kind of in the same position as you rotate the forearm for 3, and rotate 2, and rotate 1. Nice job. Okay, that strap can go away. Our foot bar needs to come up, so I'm going to put my foot bar up. Let's go back to 1 red spring. Take the blue off, and then your left hand's on the foot bar a little bit in front of your shoulder. I'm going to scoot a little bit over. I like to be able to get a full range of motion here. Right arm is going to be out to the tower. I'm going to push out with my left arm, lean towards the foot bar, come all the way back up, and bend the left arm in. So I'm pushing out, getting a little tricep work. Big exhale, stretching, stacking the spine back up, and then bending the arm back in. Pressing out, leaning, and then coming up and back in. Nice. We'll just do that a few more times. Should feel really good. I hope it feels good. And this will be your last one. Pushing out and over and coming back and home. Turn to face your bar. Take both hands on the bar. Push the carriage out, dropping the chest. And now let's bend the elbows and straighten the elbows. Your elbows should be a little bit lower than your shoulders. Elbows too high in this position and you start to get more work in the neck. So if you can keep the elbows low, you'll keep that strain out of your neck and shoulders. Three, and 2, and 1 more. Good. Let's come all the way home and come out of that. Good. Let's put on 1 blue spring and 1 red spring. So we're on 1 red, 1 blue. We're going to lay all the way back down, and then the feet are going to go into the strap. So I want you to lay onto your back. The easiest way to get into this is to push the carriage all the way out, pick up one of the straps, and then bring that knee in and put that foot in the strap. Now you're going to stand in that foot, put all the weight in that leg, lift your left leg up, and then put that foot on the strap. And I like the straps a little closer to the heel than the toes. Make sure both feet are nice and lined up, and then we're going to shoot the legs long. So remember, our focus is on neutral pelvis, so you can take those hands right back to your pubic bone with the fingers, heels of the hands with the hip bones, and then draw the thumb like a triangle. So make sure that your triangle is level, and we're going to keep that triangle level as you turn the toes out, heels together. You're going to bend your knees into tabletop and then squeeze and push the legs long. Bending in, and what you might see happening here is that when you bend in, you're wanting to go into that imprint. So remember, it's not a bad position. It's just not going to work you as effectively. So we're going to just notice what's happening and try to maintain the neutral as best as you can. And that may mean limiting your range of motion, going a little smaller. Now, just because in this class we're focusing on neutral pelvis, sometimes, and you may have taken my classes before, where I let the knees come in and you come into a stretch, and you definitely come to imprint, that's fine. So it's not bad, it's just we're focusing on maintaining neutral today. Mainly just teaching you the difference and helping you learn more about your body. Last 2. And 1. Good. When your legs are straight the next time, bring the feet back to parallel. Let's go up with the legs straight up. Remember, keep that pubic bone down, and then pull the legs down. Good. And just, you might take a few and just kind of notice what's happening before you try to control anything. Maybe just see what's happening with your fingers and what's happening with your thumbs. Are you rocking from side to side, or from imprint to out of imprint? and then try to stabilize it. And you may notice you have to go a little bit smaller to do so. So you're keeping your hips and your pubic bone on the same plane. Now we're going to go one more time. This time when you go down, we're going to open the legs out and around and come all the way back to the center. So you're circling down and then opening out and around and up. And if you like to take the hands to the sides, you can do that. If you feel comfortable that you're holding neutral, you can keep the arms to the sides. Do that one more time. When you get to the top, let's reverse it. So we're going to open first, push down and together, and then come up the middle. Open, pull down and together, and come up the middle. Three, and two, and one. Nice job. All right, we're going to take those legs and come into a little butterfly. So I want the soles of the feet together, knees wide. Now you will imprint the spine, so you're going to notice that big difference. So you're letting your low back push into the mat. Take your hands and grab the straps and pull them towards you. Take your elbows and push them out into the knees and stretch the inner thighs. And you can even do a little rock side to side, giving your back a little massage. Good. When you're ready, one foot comes out of the strap and that foot can go down. And then your other foot goes out of the strap and then that foot can go down. Put your straps away, pull your knees into your chest. We're going to roll off to the side. I'm going to come off to my left side so that you can see, well, I think you'll be able to see from both sides. Let's go into one red spring. So I've got one heavy spring on, and I'm going to come into a lunge position. So left foot is on the floor, right knee's on the carriage. So I want you to think about that neutral pelvis as much as you can. So what's going to want to happen is you're going to do the opposite of imprint, and you're going to go into an anterior tilt. So you're going to most likely do this. So what I want you to do is pull your abs in, try to keep that pelvis in neutral, and then push back. So you might not be able to go as far, but you're going to get a bigger and deeper stretch through your front hip flexor, your right hip flexor. So I'm going to put my hands on the foot bar, and I'm going to try to really drive my right knee down to accentuate the stretch. And then you can come all the way up and we'll do the other side. So we're going to walk around or scoot over. So right foot on the floor, left knee on the carriage. You can find that neutral pelvis. So we don't want to be arched where your back is all tweaky. That's going to crunch up your back. You want to stay neutral where the tail drops and you have the hip bones and pubic bone on the same line. And then we're going to push all the way back. And you're hinged forward a little bit. Hands to the foot bar. So just have that awareness of what's happening in the pelvis. So your left knee is dropping and pushing into the carriage. And hopefully this feels really nice. And then we're going to come all the way up. Good. I'm going to come all the way around and have a seat. And just do a little bit of a roll down to give the back a stretch. So bring the knees nice and wide. Take a big inhale. Let's take an exhale as you roll your spine down. Roll all the way down to the floor. Let your hands relax on the floor. You can let your head, your neck, your shoulders relax. You can even kind of shake the head yes and no. Just giving the neck some space. Let gravity help. So gravity's doing the stretching for you here. And then you're going to very slowly from your tailbone start to roll your spine up one vertebrae at a time. And you made it. Nice job, everyone. Thank you so much for working out with me today. I hope you enjoyed the class. If you've got questions, let me know. Otherwise, I hope to see you soon. Have a great day.